Live.
Welcome back. We are still here, and I've missed everything, especially Richard here. Um, as usual, it's a Game of Thrones Tyrion 4. We'll start with the brains of the operation, Richard, and then I'll jump in with my stupid stuff every now and then. I will try not to ramble and go down rabbit holes today, but I can't promise anything. So
Man,
go
it's gonna
ahead.
be even harder on the next one. I tell you what, the next
Yeah,
one.
no.
Anyway, I will get let's not get ahead of ourselves, I suppose. All right.
Yeah.
As he stood in the pre-dawn chill watching Chicken butcher his horse, Tyrion Lannister chalked up one more debt owed the Starks. Steam rose from inside the carcass when the squat sellsword opened the belly with his skinning knife. His hands moved deftly with never a wasted cut. The work had to be done quickly before the stink of blood brought Shadowcats down from the heights. None of us will go hungry tonight, Bronn said. He was near a shadow himself, bone thin and bone hard, with black eyes and black hair and a stubble of beard. Bronn, near a shadow, will serve as a guard to a member of the royal family. Meat is meat, Bronn said with a shrug. So pets are like people to most of us. So this meat is meat line comes up quite a bit. And so it makes me wonder if the last hero ate his companions, the last of which was his dog.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Tyrion felt the anger all around him, thick and smoky, fed by the deep cuts in the Stark woman's hands. So smoky anger fed by cuts sounds like the mist of the others fueled by blood magic to me.
I can agree.
You said we were riding for Winterfell. Catelyn Stark favored him with the faintest of smiles. Often and loudly, she agreed. No doubt your friends will ride that way when they come after us. I wish them good speed.
This is one of those times where I don't care what you think about Catelyn. She's pretty smart. I mean,
yeah.
I think Hidden Hands caused her to take Tyrion, but once that situation went forward, she's pretty damn smart on how she did it.
Yep. And yeah. Anyway, this 7 times damned she-wolf, Catelyn Stark, had outwitted him at every turn. The knowledge was more galling than the bare fact of his abduction. So personally, I think Tyrion's being overly emotional here because there was like nothing he could have done about that.
No.
But what was she supposed to do? Figure it out and start shouting out, she's not really, watch which way she goes, or something. I mean, like, come on.
Yeah. But it was pretty damn smart what she did, though. That's pretty, I mean,
yeah.
His ego on his brains might be his downfall.
Yep. I've talked before about how I think so I do think he's brilliant with his saddle design and some things, but there have been some moments of observation that he's had that have been really smart and so forth. But I still think it's ridiculous in Clash that he fools himself into trusting the one person who's actually loyal to into not trusting the one person who's actually loyal to the Lannisters, and in trusting the two who are trying to actively destroy his family. Anyway. If you wanted me dead, you had only to say the word, and one of these staunch friends of yours would gladly have given me a red smile. So we've discussed in the Catelyn chapter where we last saw these characters that this is the weirwood stigmata, which represents the weirwood and the tradition of blood sacrifice.
Right. It also foreshadows her end of the living.
Right. And we'll be noticing this a whole lot in this chapter, by the way.
Yeah.
Only a fool would arm a common footpad with his own blade, and this is why I decided Lemongate was the appropriate T-shirt for this chapter. So you don't give a blade of any kind to someone to kill a child everyone believes could die at any minute in a story with Othello-style pillow smothering, unless you want the appearance of murder. So the whole point of giving a blade is you're telling them, I don't want this to look like he died from his wounds. I want it to look like murder, right? So Robert's dagger, a blade instantly recognized as far too valuable for a common killer, was intended to make it clear this was murder and to frame the owner of the blade, which is King Robert, using his most distinct weapon, a combination of Valyrian steel and dragon bone.
Right.
It's no, you do not. It's not just you don't arm them with your own blade. You don't arm them with a blade, period, unless you're deliberately trying to make it look like murder. And if you're deliberately trying to make it look like murder, then you're going to want to pin it on someone. And and clearly whoever it was wanted to pin it on Robert and make it look like murder.
I mean, I'm still 50-50. I'm leaning more towards the Mance Raider that you told me. But you got to stop and think. For this to work, the man had to get caught.
Yeah. Well, no, not necessarily. Not if he drops the blade. Not if he drops the blade. He could drop the blade while he's running away.
Yeah. I mean, intentionally drop the blade as he's running away, or
sure. I mean, it's not like he's going to sell it. Who's going to buy the King's Valyrian steel dragonbone blade? Really? I mean, unless he's planning on like fleeing to Essos and then selling it somewhere far away from the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah, he ain't that smart. Well, I mean, like I said, the one guaranteed way to ensure that that blade gets found and the blame gets put on Robert or whoever, the one guaranteed way is he's caught with the blade. That's a guarantee. So with him saying, you weren't supposed to be here, no one's supposed to be here, and then we've talked about the quantum leap and the hidden fingers, and anytime I see something repeat, anytime there's a repeat, there's hidden fingers. I think the hidden fingers, which in this case, I think is Littlefinger, but I mean, like I said, I'm 50-50 with your Mance theory. But those hidden fingers made sure that this cat's paw dagger got caught.
Preston was originally 50-50 on that, with the exact same between the exact same two suspects as you, right? When he made his video, he specifically said he couldn't rule out Littlefinger.
Well, I mean,
so
he was also then.
Yeah, he was actually 50-50 as well, with the exact same 50-50. Why, every man at court has heard him tell how he took your maidenhead, my lady. That is a lie, Catelyn Stark said. So both Tyrion and Littlefinger believe they are telling the truth here.
Yes.
I promise you that it is not your hand that he boasts of. It's those right breasts of yours and that sweet, sweet mouth and the heat between your legs. So we mentioned previously, Quaith's perfect breast is a very small part of the body of evidence of Quaith as Ashara. And similarly, Catelyn's breasts are part of the evidence for the Robb's parentage theory and Casey's favorite theory. Right breasts typically imply fully developed but not large. Whereas when Lord Dustin had beheld her naked, he told Ned that her breasts were enough to make him wish he'd never been weaned, which would have seemed to associate Catelyn's breasts with large, milky, nursing breasts.
As soon as I saw in the damn email, pause here for Casey to continue on his favorite theory or both, I just started busting out laughing. And my 7-year-old is looking at me like I'm freaking stupid. What is wrong with my dad? And so that was freaking awesome. I appreciate it. But like I said, I'm not going to try to go down the rabbit hole today.
We've certainly discussed both theories in the past. So
look, man, it's my only claim to fame. I go ahead and tell you that's it. I mean, that's the hill I'm dying on.
Hopefully someday these live streams
find out wins. If we don't find out till spring, I'm going to cry. I need to find out wins.
Logs don't bleed. So weirwood sap looks like blood, though. Tyrion felt a sudden urge to leap up, brandish his axe, and boom out, "Casterly Rock!" But the insanity passed quickly, and he crouched down lower. So did Bran have to quantum leap to prevent this insanity?
Yeah, as soon as I read that, I'm like, damn, that's pretty good. But did he quantum leap him to try to stand up? And Tyrion's brain...
Did he have to reverse his move? That's
right,
one of the things.
Right. But I mean, was the quantum leap that he wanted him to stand up and fight, and Tyrion's brain realized it was a mistake and switched it back. He switched it back, yeah. Either way, I mean, as soon as I read that, I got goosebumps.
No, I like the idea that he actually switched it back, right? That he switched it, that it didn't work. He switched it back.
Well, I mean, because when we talk about these quantum leaps and hidden fingers and all that stuff, to have an actual character in the story whose brain is strong enough, like when Ned sees through Littlefinger's mirage in the fever dream of Robert, and then is I mean, to have someone to sit there and go, no quantum leap on me, I'm sitting back down. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yep. Tyrion saw an arrow sprout from the throat of the man in the shadow skin cloak. When he opened his mouth to scream, only blood came out. So this, as we've previously mentioned, this is what David Lightberger would call the weirwood stigmata, a red smile resembling a weirwood, and also resembling the traditional slit throat of a blood sacrifice.
Yes.
And we're about to get 2 more of them right here. The blade caught the charging horse in the throat with a meaty thunk, angling upward, and Tyrion almost lost his grip as the animal screamed and collapsed. He managed to wrench the axe free and lurched clumsily out of the way. Marillion was less fortunate. Horse and rider crashed to the ground in a tangle on top of the singer. Tyrion danced back in while the brigand's leg was still pinned beneath his fallen mount, and buried the axe in the man's neck, just above the shoulder blades. So the axe blows are to the throat of the horse and the neck of the rider. Tyrion put his heel on the grasping fingers and felt a satisfying crunch. Just a random act of evil from the villain Tyrion.
We get a large insight into Tyrion's mind about payback in this chapter.
Oh yeah. It's the whole Lannisters pay their debts is interesting because it's more Arya and less Bran, right? Bran makes a note to pay back the little for 100-fold for every nut and berry, whereas Arya is making her list of people she's got to pay back.
Right. And that's why I worry about Arya's arc more than anybody's, because I don't know how far she's going to go and if she's willing to come back. And we see Tyrion, as the books continue, going farther and farther down to a point where I don't think he'll ever come back. I think him and Jaime done swapped. Tyrion's one of the villains of the story. I mean,
right. I mean, the point. Yeah, I agree. I think I agree. I think. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's possible that he's going to wind up. Leo, be quiet. I think it's possible that he's going to wind up marrying Sansa. Maybe. I mean, he's already married to Sansa, but he may wind up actually living out with Sansa, and we talked about how maybe the Hound would actually be like her real love there. I do think that that we see that a lot in the histories with Rhaenyra and with Daemon the Dragon Knight, or is it Daemon the Dragon Knight? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about, the Blackfires and so forth.
Yep.
Close your eyes and pretend you're dead, he advised the singer. So that reminds me of the old guy arguing with the oarsman from Storm Dancer and Dance. If a king wanted me dead, might be I'd oblige him, pretend to be a corpse. He heard a woman scream. Catelyn Stark was trapped against the stone face of the mountain with 3 men around her, one still mounted and the other 2 on foot. She had a dagger clutched awkwardly in her maimed hands, but her back was to the rock now, and they had penned her on 3 sides. Let them have the bitch, Tyrion thought, and welcome to her. Yet somehow he was moving. He caught the first man. He caught the first man in the back of the knee before they even knew he was there, and the heavy axe head split flesh and bone like rotten wood. Logs that bleed, Tyrion thought inanely as the second man came for him. Tyrion ducked under his sword, lashed out with the axe. The man reeled backward, and Catelyn Stark stepped up behind him and opened his throat. So we've got a woman's scream. The mountain has a face. Bran possibly intervenes to save Catelyn, based on you already illustrated that.
Hey, look, man, I just thought of this before you continue. I'm going to get shirts made of fingers going like this, and I'm going to send you one we can wear for these live streams. But go ahead. Sorry. No,
that's great.
What's that shirt you wear?
Maybe we should buy some Quantum Leap shirts.
There you
go. So Bran possibly intervenes to save Catelyn, as we were just laughing about. For those who might be listening and not paying that much attention, Casey, old dude, has been doing these finger gestures as if pulling strings.
Yes. Hidden fingers.
We've got the logs that bleed line, which is perhaps a weirwood symbolism. And then Catelyn returns the favor by saving Tyrion with yet another slit throat. Somehow the fighting had ended when he wasn't looking. And I wonder if this will be true of the final war for the Dawn, if there'll be something like that where it's kind of foreshadowing for Tyrion later in his next battle in a way, because it does happen again. But I'm wondering, every time I see things in these battles now, I'm getting to the point where I'm wondering if they're supposed to be somehow hinting at the war for the Dawn and so forth, right? The most obvious one is probably a figure comes back from the dead to save people from behind the enemy lines, essentially. So you see that with Ramsay is dead, right? Everybody knows Ramsay's dead. The whole world's been informed he's dead, and he comes back from behind and saves people. Renly's ghost, right? Renly, everybody knows Renly's dead, but he comes back from behind and saves people. And so and part of the question is which of the two Stark brothers is going to, three Stark brothers, I suppose, is going to do that in the War for the Dawn. So one, obviously Bran is like Ramsay, everybody knows he's dead. Rick Owen is like Ramsay, everybody knows he's dead. And
you got Benjen, everybody thinks he's dead.
Yep. And then Jon, again, is another person who might be more of a literal, and the idea of Renly's ghost that may be more indicative of Jon as that character who kind of leads forces to come from behind the War for the Dawn. Yeah. But anyway, it just makes you wonder who's Renly's ghost, who's the Ramsay coming back from the dead, freeing people from the onslaught of the others by sort of coming in from behind.
Yeah, my money's on Benjen, so.
I'd probably lean towards Jon but I think Bran is certainly a reasonable possibility as well. So yeah. I don't know. Tyrion glanced over to where Lady Stark was dressing Sir Roderick's wounds. "I'm willing if she is," he said. The Free Riders broke into laughter, and Tyrion grinned and thought, "There's a start." Afterward, he knelt by the stream and washed the blood off his face in water cold as ice. As he limped back to the others, he glanced again at the slain. So Tyrion is starting to win Bronn over here. We've got the cold as ice symbolism and back to the others. And we already mentioned that these others the most common of the others seems to be guards for the royal family. And of course, the Kingsguard symbolism, including in Jaime's dream, is very much about them as the others. And so it does seem like that's by far the most common, right? Somebody associated with one of the royal families, whether that's Robb, King of the North family, or whether that's Tyrion as a member of Cersei's family. But it sure seems like it's usually somebody who's sort of if not a Kingsguard, at least a guard of the royal family. So anyway, I'm kind of surprised. I'm kind of surprised at how often we're seeing that, because I was under the impression that it was that it was more common than that, and David Lightbringer had said no, it's very specific, and it does seem to be not only specific, but specifically it seems to be that, right? It seems to be members of the King of the North family, or members of guards of the King of the North family, or guards of Cersei Lannister's family. Right. A deep gash in his left arm and a spear thrust that grazed his neck. So these are the traditional sites of the Hammer of the Waters, with arm injuries reminiscent of Tyr sacrificing his arm for justice, and neck injuries that we may have discussed a few times in the past. Sir Roderick, a shadow beside her. Did I mention guards of royal families, including the King of the North?
I think I've heard you say that.
Yeah, I think so. "As I was saying before we were so rudely interrupted," Tyrion began, "there is a serious flaw in Littlefinger's fable. Whatever you may believe of me, Lady Stark, I promise you this: I never bet against my family." So we finally get the payoff from our previous discussions of how Robert's dagger was never Tyrion's.
There you go. I mean, even if you didn't know anything about this story and were reading it through the first time, just the way he continues that point in this chapter would drive it home, going, "Hey, man, that's not his dagger."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you kind of believe that anyway, right? Because Tyrion's
Yeah.
not yet a full villain, despite his stepping
Right.
on Marillion's hands for spite here. That is pretty freaking evil. But
Right. But you got to stop and think. Right now, we're seeing the rose that's blooming out of the pile of crap that might be his soul by the time further down the story. So
yeah, he's certainly he was nice to Jon and to Bran, but yeah, he's definitely not the whitewashed character of the TV show.
no, his chapters are still I mean, one of the best to read without a doubt.
I think Jamie's chapters are the most entertaining, but yeah.
Well,
And
they're actually that both of them with as far as their attitude with people and their chapters have just kind of crossed over. And
right.
the humor that you got out of Tyrion's chapters, once you see Jamie go to the Riverlands away from Cersei and all that crap, he's starting to turn into the Tyrion that we meet at the beginning of the book. So yeah, I mean,
yeah. I mean, Jamie makes the conscious decision that, hey, I can be good, right? And Tyrion specifically says that, he wishes he was the monster that everybody thinks he is, and so they basically both decided to change their character to become. Tyrion's decided to be evil, and Jamie's decided to be good.
Right. Well, I mean, they're both out of their comfort level right now because Jamie is not next to Cersei, and she's been getting on his damn nerves, and he's away from that. So he's away from what he likes the most. He threatens to throw a baby over a wall to get back to her, even though deep down he doesn't really want to get back to her. And then you got Tyrion that all of a sudden, I mean, he knows everybody looks at him with the eyes that look down on him as a dwarf, not meaning any fun or anything on that one. But he's always had the Lannister name. He's always had the gold. And when he's on trial for Joffrey, he's lost all of that. I mean, he's still got a name, but they're either going to take his head or send him to the wall. So he's lost that name, and he's lost a lot of what he used to make his way in the world. I mean, he's always had gold. He always had his wit. But when he's standing there chained, I mean, ain't a damn thing he can do about it now.
Well, he mostly uses his tongue to get people to do what he wants, and he's doing that repeatedly, right? He does that with the Klansmen. He'll do that with Brown Man Plum. So he mostly talks his way out of things,
right?
Which is part of where the quiet lion theory comes from, that he's going to lose his tongue, which is an interesting concept, right? So Cersei has, her walk of shame is designed to basically strip her of her power, which is her looks and the respect that she has. Wow. And Jamie has his sword hand cut off, and so the part of the theory, in addition to the fact that it's foreshadowed over and over again, is that Tyrion's main point has been that he's talked his way out of everything. So the quiet lion theory is, well, what if they took his tongue, right? Because it really is heavily foreshadowed.
Well, I mean, just in the back of my head, I mean, just the way I think, I'm sitting there going, well, what if we have a chapter where it's Tyrion and somebody else, and Tyrion doesn't have a tongue, and the other person can't read. So Tyrion has no way of communicating what he needs done, or all we get in that chapter would be his interior monologue, and then the other person.
It'd be weird. I don't know if I'll actually go that way. I mean, I think because of how challenging it is, George might decide not to do it. But I don't know.
He's definitely left the seeds for it, for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah. Well, I'm dead serious about the shirt with the fingers. So, what size do you wear?
Typically large. Maybe extra large is okay, but typically large.
No problem. I can see how much is it going to cost me. My wife might say no.
Fair enough.
But I definitely want to do it because I get stupid ideas in my head on buying something or doing something. Then that's generally what I'll do until I get it, and then after I get it, I'll be like, I wish I'd never done it. But
man, this next chapter, the Arya chapter, I don't know what I'm going to do here. I need to go through and throw out most of my stuff, because otherwise I'm going to have like 2 hours of reading to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, granted, I have your email to read as you're reading it, and I quit doing the 20 questions because I never really got to any of my stuff all of my stuff as we're doing the live stream. And I mean, I'll go back and look. Oh, I wish I'd said that, or I wish I'd have done that, or.
Oh yeah, I do that too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have to sit there and go, okay, this is a pausing spot in his email. I could put this in. So, I mean, generally, I won't read the chapter and do my questions until I've seen. Used to, I did it before. Now I do it after I've seen your email to try to figure out. Well, I can squeeze this in here. Oh, he didn't cover this type situation, so it makes it easier on me.
Yeah, I'll try and get that done earlier than like I said, the problem is I find myself wanting to highlight like this whole chapter because she's constantly doing the serial quotes and there's just so much there, you know.
Yeah, well, I'm rereading at night. I've been rereading Feast for Crows, and she even does a serial while she's at the house of Black and White, or with the kindly man. That's the chapter I read last night was hers. So I do it in the morning or the morning of a live stream. I'll read a chapter that we're going to do to where it's nice and fresh because I'll freaking forget.
Yeah, that helps.
And then at night, I try to read at least one chapter of some of those chapters I've read like 3 or 4 just because I couldn't stop. Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah, and then last week I actually read quite a few because we didn't do live stream other than Monday. So
yep.
Are we back for Wednesday and Friday this week? Maybe?
I might have a conflict on Wednesday. Maybe we may have to make it Friday. I'll double check and I'll let you know. But I think I have a monthly meeting that's supposed to happen on the first Wednesday.
Okay.
So I think
I'm going to give you a little extra time on the Arya chapter too, though.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Actually, like I said, this Arya chapter, we've got to. Sometimes it takes longer to be brief, right? There's lots of people who've made quotes and jokes about that, but figuring out what's actually important is harder than finding everything that you want to say, right?
Right. Well, one of the shortest chapters we did ended up being almost an hour video just because of the other stuff we started talking about.
Oh yeah.
Which actually I've been wanting to do a theory video that's not about Tormund. But I haven't done one and ever since we started doing the reread. And there's a theory that Grey Waste Tim was saying on the live stream. I don't know if I haven't actually listened to the whole thing yet. But there was something that it struck me as interesting. But now I know what it was. It was that you wouldn't. It's from Fire and Blood. Never mind. Yeah. Okay. And it was the idea that if you have 2 brothers where one is named Clubfoot and the other one's named Breakbones, that maybe what happened is that it's kind of like a Sandor and Gregor thing. That was their argument is well, maybe the Clubfoot was actually caused by Breakbones. Yeah, I would think so.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I did see on Twitter they were talking about that Aegon the Conqueror knew about the coming of the.
How was that a surprise? Like, what did people think that Rhaegar saw in his scrolls, if not Targaryen prophecy, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I went on somebody's and they were bashing it, and I'm like, look, I have no problem with this whatsoever. I mean,
I don't get how a surprise. Like when people say that Rhaegar saw something in the scrolls and talk about the Prince's Promise prophecy, like where did they think that came from? Did they think I don't know.
I mean, look, we're talking 300 years from Aegon the Conqueror to
they wrote it down, and Rhaegar and Aemon found it. Like, yeah, that's what it is, right? I mean, that's the whole point.
Well, I mean, it's also the point of some of the legends and all that kind of stuff. Things get forgotten, things get twisted, things get undone, and then you got forces like the big game that do the little hidden finger stuff. You got forces that want people to get ready for the long night, and you got forces that don't want people to get ready for the long night.
And I get the argument that it might have been like John Iside or somebody on Twitter saying there's no way that you could pass down Stark knowledge that long. But if the concept is that you have a great library, that you might be keeping those things, right? I mean, that's the whole concept with Rhaegar is he's found something in his scrolls. So it doesn't matter it doesn't matter if Viserys doesn't tell Rhaenyra's offspring, what happened. That's what matters is did they write it down and keep it in their library, right? And so the question with Winterfell clearly has a superior library. So the question would be, were they attempting to? It may actually be the fire that with knowledge rather than the fact that Ned wasn't the heir, right? People are like, well, Rickard and Brandon would never be doing this, and that's a reasonable argument by word of mouth.
Right.
But that's part of the point, right? Is Rhaegar found it in the scrolls. Anyway.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
All right.
Well, that was actually a pretty good little return video. We're sitting at exactly 30 minutes. So, yay! Good. All right. Arya Friday. I'll do a theory video Wednesday. I'll probably do a video instead of a live stream because I tend to mess up quite a bit. But other than that, leave comment. Y'all stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see y'all Friday. I have been Old New Dude, and he has been
Richard York, Astro's Trueborn Son.
Y'all have a good day. Bye.
Bye.